movement is one of the key components that keep us healthy. Being able to move around, potter about and move around. It's one of the key components in there. And if I kind of break it down into little small steps in there, the energy molecules our body uses, what you and I know, we call it ATP, but let's just call it energy molecules. The body can produce the energy molecules in two ways, either with oxygen or without oxygen. The most efficient way for the body to produce it with oxygen is with oxygen, because for every molecule of the food we eat and it breaks it down, it will produce 2 molecules of energy without oxygen, but produces 36 with oxygen. So preferentially, the body prefers aerobic or with oxygen activity. How do we get the aerobic mechanism going? Through some of our activities. We breathe in air, okay? And moving around, aerobic activity, that's one of the things it does. Helps you to take in that, okay? Secondly, what we now know about muscles in the last couple of years is unbelievable. We now actually think of muscles as organs that are endocrine organs, not just only for movement. And I'll give you another example. Let's take something like diabetes, for instance. If somebody is in pre-diabetes state, if you do lifestyle measures, you can stop them progressing into diabetes. What do I mean by lifestyle pressure? We talk about nutrition. What else? Exercise.
Right.
And what's the exercise about? Muscle activity increases glucose utilization, independent of insulin. That is without even insulin.
Really?
Yeah, without even insulin. It's completely independent in terms of that, from the muscular contraction activity in there. That's why I said we now know increasingly on that muscle, getting the muscles to work has a lot of health benefits for us all. Now, if somebody falls ill for whatever reason, and you lose that ability to potter around, let's say you end up in what we call bed rest, which ironically we used to use as a form of treatment in those days. You put people on bed rest, one of the most dangerous things to do, because being sedentary is actually the biggest killer. And I will explain if we have time at some point in there. Now, if you take to bed, even without any injury, without anything in there, within 48 to 72 hours, our muscles start changing. It's that quick. It starts changing. First, in terms of function, then by the end of the week, you start getting morphological or changes in structure. Okay? And what has been done in studies is looking at how long and how quickly people decondition. And to cut a long story short, 1 week of bed rest physiologically ages the body by 10 years. So if you lie in bed for a week, your body is 10 years older by the end of the week. Now, if somebody's had a stroke, most of them are going to end up in bed.
Exactly.
So by the end of the week, you're already fighting a losing battle to try and get the person. It's not irreversible. It's just that's what happens. And then 2 weeks, 20 years. 3 weeks, 30 years. By that time, so if you're 40 when you took to bed, 3 weeks later, you are still lying in bed, your body is now 70. If you then get up to try and do something, you struggle because you're trying to do what a 40-year-old would do with a 70-year-old's body.
Wait, explain that again. I mean, what? 30 years plus after 3 weeks?
Of bed rest, enforced bed rest, not getting out, not doing anything. That's what happened. And that sets up a chronic inflammation within the body, again, within itself. And it's now actually what we call being sedentary, not moving around, is actually now a risk factor for most chronic diseases. Are you ready for this? Higher than smoking, higher than alcohol, higher than blood pressure.
That's bizarre.
It's bizarre. Unbelievable, isn't it? And it's simple things Because now one of my role is as an exercise physician, along with part of what I do. And when I explain to people, say one of the best treatment you can ever give people is to get them physically active. And that's part of why we do that in rehab, why we try to get the stroke patients or head injury patient out of bed, mobilize them quickly, because we know movement is life. There is an old saying, I don't know, I can't remember whoever came up with it. It said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep on moving. That is true.
Yeah, that's Martin Luther King. He said that.
Yeah, very, very true. It has, if I were to put all the benefits of being physically active and compare with all the different medications we have in the world, nothing has that same number over a wide spectrum of different conditions as being physically active.